Hi, my name is Darlene Caragay, an MBA student, and I'm here to present to you the employment of special workers for the subject Management and Industrial Relations under the instruction of Professor Mario Brillante Wesley Cabutahe. So, under the employment of special workers, we have apprentices, learners, and the handicapped workers. In reference to the revised guidelines in the implementation of apprenticeship and learnership program, there are things that we need to know and one must follow. Pursuant to the TVET, or the Technical Vocational Education and Training reforms currently being pursued by TESDA, or the Technical Education and Skills Development Act, and as part of the agency's effort of enhancing the implementation of enterprise-based programs, the following guidelines are hereby issued. So I'm going to tell you about it. Okay, the apprenticeship and learnership programs shall be implemented pursuant to the following laws. There's the RA number 7796 from the Technical Education and Skills Development Act of 1994 and its implementing rules and regulations. The PD number 442 from the Labor Code of the Philippines and its implementing rules and regulations. There is the Executive Order number 111 issued on December 24, 1986. But with the transfer of the apprenticeship and learnership programs to TESDA by virtue of RA number 7796, all applicable systems and procedures in TVET shall be applied to said programs. Implementation of these programs, however, shall remain to be in accordance with the Labor Code of the Philippines and Executive Order number 111. You can refer to the Section 18 of RA number 7796. As such, the apprenticeship and learnership program shall be continued to be viewed as training and employment programs, but greater attention should be given to the skills acquisition of the apprentices or learners. The competency-based system shall be adopted in the implementation of the apprenticeship and learnership programs. All training packages to be developed for these programs shall be in accordance with the TESDA-approved competency-based format. The reporting forms and other related forms developed for the National Manpower and Information System, or the NMIS, shall be used in the implementation of the apprenticeship and learnership programs. The identification and approval of new occupations for apprenticeship and learnership programs shall be based on priority occupations identified by the TESDA or the TESDA board and the industry, in addition to specific requests forwarded by prospective partner enterprises. So let's try to learn the terminologies. Apprentice is a person undergoing training for an approved apprenticeable occupation during an established period assured by an apprenticeship agreement. Apprenticeship is the training within employment involving a contract between an apprentice and an enterprise on an approved apprenticeable occupation. The apprenticeship agreement is a contract wherein a prospective employer binds to train the apprentice, who in turn accepts the term of training for a recognized apprenticeable occupation, emphasizing the rights, duties, and responsibilities of each party. Apprenticeable occupation. It is an occupation officially approved for apprenticeship by the authority, and the authority refers to Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. Certificate of Registration. It is a document issued by TESDA granting an authority to a participating enterprise to offer a program in a particular occupation. Competency assessment, it refers to the process of gathering and judging evidence in order to decide whether a person has achieved a standard of competency or competence standard. Competency-based curriculum, it refers to a specification for a course or subject or a module which describes all the learning experience a student undergoes, generally including objectives, content, particularly the competencies to be learned, teaching methodology, prescribed assessment tasks, assessment guides, and others. Competency standards, it refers to a written specification of the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values required for the performance of a job, occupation, or trade, and the corresponding standard of performance required for these in the workplace. The duration of training, it is the training period for the apprenticeship and learnership. Then the enterprise, it is a participating establishment that directly engages in apprentice based on an approved apprenticeship or the learnership program. Learners, these are the persons hired as trainees in semi-skilled and other industrial occupations which are non-apprenticeable. Learnership, it refers to any practical training on learnable occupation which may or may not be supplemented by related theoretical instructions. The letter of application, it is a letter of signifying the intentions of the enterprise to register an apprenticeship program. Then we have to know the specific guidelines, of course. So first, we have the registration of programs. The enterprises who wish to participate in the apprenticeship or learnership program shall submit the following documentary requirements. First is the letter of application, and then the curriculum design or skills training outline. Then we have the certification that the number of apprentices to be hired is not more than 20% of the total regular workforce. And the last is the registration process that's for the occupations already approved as apprenticeable. The applicant enterprise shall file an application letter together with the required documents with the nearest TESDA provincial or district office. A checklist of requirements shall be accomplished by the provincial or the district office upon receipt of the documents. Only applications with complete supporting documents shall be officially reviewed for evaluation, and the incomplete application shall be promptly returned to the applicant enterprise. The TESDA provincial or district office shall evaluate the document submitted and review its merit. If necessary, ocular inspection may be conducted to determine suitability of the enterprise for apprenticeship or the learnership training. The TESDA provincial office shall prepare and issue a certificate of registration to the enterprise within 10 days upon receipt of the documents. The following shall be observed in the numbering of the certificate. There is the certificate of TVET program registration for both the apprenticeship and the learnership program. Now we have the approval of program, but this is for the occupations not yet approved as apprenticeable. The enterprises who wish to avail of the apprenticeship or the learnership program and whose occupation is not yet included in the list of approved, apprenticeable, or the learnable occupations shall submit the following requirements. First is the documentary requirements, then the letter of application, the curriculum design or skills training outline, and the certification that the number of apprentices to be hired is not more than 20% of the total regular workforce. So what is the registration process? Okay, the applicant enterprise shall file an application letter together with the required documents with the nearest TESDA provincial or district office. A checklist of requirements shall be accomplished by the provincial or district offices upon receipt of the documents. Only applications with complete supporting documents shall be officially reviewed for evaluation. The incomplete application shall be promptly returned to the applicant company. The TESDA provincial or district office shall evaluate the documents submitted and review its merit. If necessary, ocular inspection may be conducted to determine suitability of the enterprise for apprenticeship or the learnership training. The TESDA provincial office shall forward copy of the documents to the Office of Apprenticeship through the TESDA regional office. Then the TESDA provincial office shall prepare and issue within 10 days a certification authorizing the enterprise to hire apprentices. The OA shall review the documents and recommend to the TESDA board approval of the proposed occupations for inclusion in the list of apprenticeable occupations. The OA also shall update the list of approved apprenticeable or the learnable occupations and disseminate copy to the regional or provincial offices. The provincial office, upon receiving the list, shall prepare the certificate of registration and issue it to the enterprise within 5 working days. Now we have the approval of apprenticeable and the learnable occupations. To facilitate approval of apprenticeable or the learnable occupations, all occupations declared priority by the TESDA board and the industry shall be forwarded by OA to the TESDA board for approval and inclusion in the list of apprenticeable or the learnable occupation or occupations. Now we have the post-registration concerns. The names of all companies with registered programs shall be published by OA once a year in a leading newspaper and uploaded in the TESDA website. All companies with registered programs shall be subject to periodic monitoring by the regional and the provincial office to identify areas for possible assistance or intervention. All companies with registered programs shall be required to submit to the provincial office the copy of apprenticeship or the learnership agreements and enrollment report or the NMIS form number 050 within 10 working days upon signing of the agreements, and the copy of the terminal report or the NMIS form number 100 every 25th day of the month. All provincial offices shall submit to the regional office the copy of the enrollment report and terminal report at the end of the month. These reports are in addition to the reports currently being submitted regularly to OA. All regional offices shall submit to OA the copy of furnished of the planning office, then the copy of the enrollment report, then the terminal report, and the other reports every fifth day of the month. Now we have the sanctions. The registration certificate of companies that are not taking in apprentices or learners for 2 consecutive years shall be revoked. The assessment and certification of apprentices or the learners, whenever applicable, graduates of the apprenticeship or the learnership programs shall be subjected to competency assessment. The competency certificate shall be issued on the basis of demonstrated competencies for each trade by the enterprise. The number of apprentices or the learners to be taken in by the companies. A participating enterprise shall be allowed to take in apprentices or learners only up to a maximum of 20% of its total regular workforce. The apprenticeship and the learnership agreement, no apprenticeship or learnership training will commence until an apprenticeship or the learnership agreement has been forged between an enterprise and the apprentice or the learner. Now let's know what are the benefits of the apprentices or the learners. The apprentices or learners are entitled to receive a wage equivalent to 75% of the prevailing minimum wage and other benefits including overtime pay. An apprentice can work overtime provided there are no regular workers to do the job and the time spent on overtime work is duly credited to his training hours. The incentives to participating companies we have the participating companies, and they shall be entitled to an additional deduction from taxable income of 1/2 of the value of labor training expenses which are incurred for developing the productivity and efficiency of apprentices or learners. The said incentive shall be given provided that such deduction shall not exceed 10% of direct labor wage, and that the enterprise who wish to avail of this incentive should pay the apprentices the minimum wage. The period of apprenticeship and learnership. What we need to know: the apprenticeship period shall not be less than 4 months and not more than 6 months. The participating enterprise has the option to hire the apprentice even prior to the completion of the apprenticeship period. The learnership period, on the other hand, shall not be more than 3 months. The enterprise is obliged to hire the learner after the learnership period. Now, the planned apprenticeship committee. The creation of planned apprenticeship committee in participating enterprises shall be necessary. It shall be composed of management, the labor, and the government representatives. For the settlement of disputes in case of any violation of apprenticeship or the learnership agreement, the planned apprenticeship committee, or PAC, upon filing a complaint by the aggrieved party, shall have the initial responsibility for settling differences. In case of failure by the PAC to settle the issue, the TESDA provincial office or its authorized representative shall refer the case to the DOL of regional or provincial office, which has jurisdiction over the concerned company, to investigate and render a decision pursuant to pertinent rules and regulations. These guidelines took effect immediately after it was published in August 12 of 2004 by the Director General Alcestis M. Giang. Now let's talk about the handicapped workers. Handicap is defined as a disadvantage for a given individual resulting from an impairment or a disability. The limits or prevents the functions or activity that is considered normal given the age and sex of the individual. So from the Manila, Philippines, the United Nations has officially declared Wednesday, December 3, the International Day of Disabled Persons. This is to raise awareness about the attention and help needed by the persons with disability, or what we call the PWDs. In the country, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo designated in 2006 December 3 as International Day of Persons with Disabilities in the Philippines. The National Council for the Welfare of Disabled Persons, now called the National Council on Disability Affairs, or NCDA, was tasked as lead agency for all activities related to this celebration. The Republic Act 7277, or the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, defined PWDs as those suffering from restriction of different abilities as a result of a mental, physical, or sensory impairment to perform an activity in the manner or within the range considered normal for a human being. Based on the 2010 census, there are 1,443,000 PWDs, comprising 1.57% of the total population in the country. In the 2013 elections, there were around 365,000 registered PWD voters. So what are the benefits of the PWDs? What are they entitled to based on legislation and government proclamations? They have actually 20% discount on hotels, similar lodging establishments, restaurants and recreation centers, theaters, cinema houses, concert halls, circuses, carnivals, and other similar places of culture, leisure, and amusement, medicines in all drugstores. Also, they have 20% discount on medical and dental services. This includes diagnostic and laboratory fees in all government facilities, which are subject to guidelines to be issued by DOH in coordination with PhilHealth medical and dental services, including diagnostic and laboratory fees, and professional fees of attending doctors in all private hospitals and medical facilities. But this is in accordance with the rules and regulations to be issued by DOH in coordination with PhilHealth. Also, the PWDs have 20% discount on domestic air and sea travel, public railways and bus fare, and also the skyways and expressways toll fees, but these are for PWD owning a vehicle. The PWD also have a 5% discount, but these are for basic necessities and prime commodities. For the basic necessities, this includes rice, corn, bread, fresh and dried and canned fish, and other marine products, fresh pork, beef and poultry meat, fresh eggs, fresh and processed milk, infant formulas, fresh vegetables, root crops, coffee, sugar, cooking oil, salt, laundry soap, detergents, firewood, charcoal, candles, and other commodities as may be classified by the DTI and the DA. For the prime commodities, these are the fresh fruits, dried, processed and canned pork, beef and poultry meat, dairy products not falling under basic necessities, noodles, onions, garlic, diapers, herbicides, poultry, swine and cattle feeds, veterinary products for poultry, swine and cattle feeds, veterinary products for poultry, swine and cattle, paper, school supplies, nipa shingle, plyboard, construction nails, batteries, electrical supplies, light bulbs, steel wire, and other commodities that may be classified by DTI and DA. Please note that the total amount of said purchase should not exceed 1,300 pesos per calendar week without carryover of the unused amount. Now, let's talk about the employment opportunities for PWDs. All government agencies, offices, or corporations shall reserve at least 1% of all positions for PWDs. Private corporations with more than 100 employees are encouraged to reserve at least 1% of all positions for PWDs. The other privileges of the PWDs are express lanes in all commercial and government establishments, accessible biometrics, registration and voting precincts, designated PWD-friendly public attorneys, educational assistance to pursue primary, secondary, tertiary, post-tertiary, as well as vocational or technical education in both public and private schools, protection against verbal and non-verbal ridicule and vilification, and there's also the 15,000 pesos worth of benefits to qualified PhilHealth members or dependents in need of lower limb prosthesis, the establishment of a Persons with Disability Affairs Office or the PDAO in every province, a city, and municipality, and the accessible website of all government agencies. To avail of these privileges and perks, a PWD should secure and present a PWD ID, and the details on registration and application may be found here. But despite of all these perks, NCDA claims that PWDs still encounter problems such as poverty and discrimination. Months ago, photos of a disabled person and a dog denied access to a mall became viral. The incident turned out to be a simple misunderstanding, but it raised the issue of whether private establishments are considerate of the needs of PWDs. Moreover, in the 2013 elections, considered to be more PWD inclusive compared to past elections, only 82,000 out of the 365,000 registered PWD voters were able to cast their votes. Many establishments still lack ramps, functioning elevators, and necessary facilities. Also, opportunities are lost because of lack of proper funding for PWD programs. In a dialogue, NCDA Director Carmen Reyes-Subiaga said that PWDs are not asking the government for special treatment, but only for them to address our reasonable accommodation. So that's it for our employment of special workers. Thank you for watching and listening.